Hello and welcome to Bags of Action. My name's Steve, my co-host is Pete.
Hello.
This episode we're going to be talking about the 2019 film John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum.
I still don't know what that means.
You do.
I don't.
You do.
Okay.
They tell you in the film. Anyway, we'll come on to that.
Oh, okay.
But before that, have you got some news, Pete?
Not so much news, but there's something I've been watching that I thought I would share. Thank you to Barry from Geek Syndicate, who, as always, recommends very good stuff. So I started watching an anime series on Netflix called Seis Manos. It's set in Mexico, but it's got a major kind of B-movie vibe. There's martial arts, there's supernatural elements, some blaxploitation thrown in for good measure. Mike Coulter from Cage is in it, or one of the voices in it, and Danny Trejo. And it's really good fun. And the animated fight scenes are better than anything in Iron Fist.
Wow.
But that doesn't mean much.
Oof.
But I bought the animated fight scenes more than the live action ones in Iron Fist. But no, it's good. It's good fun. It's really old school. But it's some great lines in there. It's definitely worth checking out.
Oh, okay. That's one to watch. A little bit of news for me that Zack Snyder announced on social media today that they've wrapped, get your head around this, his Netflix zombie heist movie, Army of the Dead.
Oh.
So Dave Bautista leads an all-star cast where there's a zombie outbreak in Las Vegas and a group of mercenaries take the ultimate gamble going into the quarantine zone to pull off a heist. So it's a little bit Ocean's 11, it's a little bit Walking Dead, it's a little bit Aliens in terms of, from looking at the cast, you've got a mix that looks like so-and-so, that one looks like, I can kind of...
He's done a zombie film before, hasn't he? Didn't he do the Dawn of the Dead remake?
I don't know.
Is that Zack Snyder?
Yes, he did. 2004 Dawn of the Dead remake.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's not... The Army of the Dead, isn't it? It's a very generic title. Mm-hmm. There's lots of things they could have done there, I think, with the Vegas angle, but I don't know. Yeah.
The Gambling Dead.
Maybe the Gambling Dead.
Always better on
Viva Las Zombies.
Yeah, I don't know.
And others.
And other bad puns.
It's one of those things, I think, I don't know. Zack Snyder's a bit like Michael Bay, who we talked about before, that I kind of liked some of his stuff and then didn't. But who knows? I like Dave Bautista, and the premise is interesting. It's one of those things that can go one of two ways. It could be really, really good, or it could be Bright. So, yeah.
I like Bright.
I didn't like Bright at all.
Dear.
But
Fast Scared. That's what I'm trying to say from Aliens.
Ah, okay.
I knew it'd come to me eventually. Nice. Game over, man. Anyway, okay. What else have you got?
Well, it's not really news, but it's just a reminder for people, myself included, that Terminator Dark Fate comes out this week, which I still think sounds like a Magnum ice cream. But maybe that's just me.
Have you watched the new Red Band trailer?
No, I don't think I have, actually. Is it good?
They name Arnold Schwarzenegger's character.
Ooh.
Which is actually hilarious.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly what it is, but something like, it's a minor spoiler, but if you've seen any of the other trailers, you've seen this.
Yeah.
She knocks on a door, he opens it up, and it's Arnie as he is now today, age 72, whatever he is. And then someone says, who are you? And I think he says, my name's Kevin. And Linda Hamilton says, I'm not calling you Kevin. It's something like that, or Ron, or Brian, but it's something really ordinary, and she's just like, I'm not calling you that.
Oh, that's mad.
Just makes me laugh.
It's I read a thing yesterday, an early review that said Dark Fate is the best Terminator film since T2, and I thought, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything at all, really. I saw the third one in the cinema. Which I live to regret, really. But I'm tentatively excited. It's interesting also, like, James Cameron returns. He returns as a producer. He's not directing it, is he? But I'm interested to see what it's like.
Tim Deadpool director.
Oh, of course.
Very good action.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Let's see.
I'm actually going to go and see that next, I think, at the cinema.
Okay.
So I will let you know. I may even do a 5-minute review. Who knows?
Maybe. Or if, maybe we'll both see it. Maybe it'd be worthy of a longer review. Let's see.
Okay, yeah. Look, any promises?
Okay. So on to chapter 3, Perineum.
So, as we said, this episode we talked about John Wick chapter 3, Parabellum. And
sorry.
Misheard and still doesn't know what it meant because you fell asleep during that part of the film.
I've seen the film twice. That's the worst thing. So I saw this when it came out. The week it came out, I saw it in the cinema on the big screen, and I've seen it about a month ago. So maybe I'm getting older. My memory's not what it was. But no, I've seen it twice, and maybe I'm too busy looking at the shiny guns and the kicking and the dogs. But what does it mean?
So it's from a Latin phrase that if you want peace, you should prepare for war. And Parabellum, loosely translated, means prepare for war, which is quoted in the film by
74 times.
By who says it?
I don't. This is make me me sound like I'm.
When he's sat in the vault, he quotes it and says, blah, 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 Parabellum, prepare for war. So there you go. John Wick, chapter 3, prepare for war.
Okay. Prepare for war is a better name, but just me.
Wow. Okay. So, do you want to give the setup of the film?
Well, yeah, I'll give the background, I guess. It's the director's back, the writer's back, the stars are all back. Actually, they've added some extra writers for this third one that weren't involved before. So I think there were like 5 people involved writing this time. So Keanu Reeves is back, Ian McShane, Lawrence Fishburne. They've added... Sorry?
Lance Reddick.
Yes.
Who is the concierge of the Continental.
Yes. They've added Halle Berry, Jerome Flynn, Mark Dacascos, Angelica Houston, Asia Kate Dillon, and a plethora, that's a good word. They should have called it Chapter 3 plethora, of martial arts talent like, I can really struggle with these names, Yayan Ruyan from The Raid, who plays Mad Dog, and Sesep Arif Rahman from The Raid 2. So 2 kind of Indonesian martial artists. And essentially, I mean, it picks up in almost real time, the second almost after the end of the second film. Yeah. You don't get that kind of time has passed. It's very much you're straight into a situation where because he killed somebody on sacred ground in the Continental, then he's going to be like Marillion. He's going to be incommunicado, excommunicated. Sorry, which is not a Marillion song, so that didn't work at all.
Anyway, so yes, basically he broke the rule, the one rule that you can't. It's the equivalent of holy ground. You can't break it, and he did, which means any protection, anything he could get from the hotel, his money is no longer valid or useful. He gets an hour, and then anyone who finds him is able to kill him, and there's a bounty on his head of like $14 million to begin with. So the film starts with him running, really. Yes. Running.
And he pretty much runs for the next hour and a half.
Pretty much. Yes. Yeah. It's 2 hours and 10, this film. Yeah. I have mixed feelings about this film.
Ooh. Well, I've because it's a little while since I saw it, I kind of wrote down what did I like, what did I not like. And they're about 50-50 in terms of number of things. Ooh. But, you're a tall man. You appreciate tallness. There's a very tall person in this film.
Yes, there's the guy that he fights in the library. That's hilarious.
He's an NBA player, apparently, called Boban Marjanovic, who is 7'3".
Wow, okay. That fight, though, it's brutal.
It is brutal.
A lot of the fights in this film were brutal, though, to be fair.
I found kind of what I posted on social media after I saw it the first time, and I think I put this is like Hard Boiled meets Raid Redemption, but a Hollywood film, and I'd probably stand by that because it feels like they've upped the ante again, and considering the first 2 films, I didn't actually think that was possible until seeing this. It does feel like a kind of Hong Kong film, much more, but just put through like a Hollywood filter, really. I was like, they can't keep it can't be this relentless. They can't keep fighting. They still are. They can't keep hacking bits out of each other. Yeah, they still are. It's it's some interesting places they have fights. I've written down the library. There's a horse stable, an antique store, which I thought was a museum, but I believe is an antique store. Yeah. Yeah, so there's some very interesting settings for some of these
at one
fights.
point where they're making a mint, I should say, where they're making coins. There's in the desert. There's everywhere really. In the street, in the subway, as you said, the library, on the motorway or freeway if you're in America.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
And I guess they build up the mythos even more, which is probably my first slight negative, is that the first film is quite small and self-contained, but with a hint of this bigger world that John Wick has left.
Yeah.
The second film pushes that a lot, and I thought pushed it to probably to the very edge of credibility.
Yes.
And then this film has taken it 50% further on again. The world building for me became a little bit out of control. The bit, I'd hope people have seen this before they listen in, but the whole desert bit and the head of the high table stuff irritated me a lot. And they leaned so much into the Matrix. I think because the director was Keanu's stunt double on the Matrix films, and that's how they met. They said they want to do some little nods. Well, the casting of Lawrence Fishburne, I guess, was nod number one, but they literally lift dialogue from the Matrix in this one.
Really?
I need guns, lots of guns. There's a few times, but that's the main one. But they said that, and even I listened to an interview. They said even like the guy in the desert was almost supposed to be a bit like the Oracle, and it's I guess some of
that annoyed me too as well. So you've got this thing. The mythos was getting too much. They put it on too thick. There's another bit of the mythos that annoys me too, but I'll come on to that in a minute. The bit where they say, okay, the high table, they rule everything. Everyone falls in line. Everything's below them, and you all kind of have to serve, and you do as you're told. Otherwise, you break the rules like you did in the Continental. You're null and void, and anyone, it's free reign, and that makes sense. But then they go, but who sits above the high table? I'm like, well, no one. That's the whole point. I don't know, but then there's the elder one who's like, no, they're not the high table, are they? He's the high table. If he can take any of their orders and just ignore them, then he's in charge. They're not in charge at all. So they're
the medium height table, essentially.
That bit annoyed me. It's like you've added one wrinkle too many. The other, since we're on the kind of a negative first before we go into positives, there's a lot of positives to talk about. So
totally.
The other wrinkle that annoyed me is not how it was done, but what it meant was that when he took the stuff out the library, the cross, and all the rest of it, and he goes to Angelica Houston's character, the director in the theatre, and says, I want safe passage, here's my ticket, I want my ticket. And she kept calling him, John Darney, oh, yes, John Darney. And I'm like, why is she calling him that? And then you find out, oh, no, he's not actually called John Wick, he's actually a Roma, and his real name is John Darney Jovovich, or something like that. And he actually is, and he changed his name. I'm like, no, you've taken it one step too far. I know they're trying to add more to mythology, but I'm like, you've already got a guy who's a bogeyman, who's scary, who everyone's terrified of, and now you've added this as well.
And I think the fact the Baba Yaga was interesting because it wasn't to do with he was just the bogeyman. Yeah. But now it's almost like it's linked to his heritage.
Yes.
Which I know what you mean. It's a bit like
too much. It's like, as you said, it's almost like you got margarine, you're scraping it across toast. And you got just the right amount, just right, and it covers it nice and evenly, and you go, perfect, I've got it all to the edges, that's how I like my toast. What they've done is got another massive blob, slapped it on the middle, and then just rubbed it all over.
No, I think they've taken it round the edges of the crust with a palette knife, that's what they've done.
They've got a trowel and smeared even more margarine on the toast.
Although, admittedly, if John Wick himself was doing this, he would then throw the trowel into your head.
True. I never thought we'd talk about the film in terms of butter.
No,
but
it's good. I think from now on, instead of bags of action, it should be
trowels and margarine.
Trowels and butter. Totally.
It was just one bit too many. I didn't mind the fact that he had loyalty to them. And she said, I don't...
Fealty.
And the fact that she also said there's loyalty and then there's things to family and family comes first. That made sense. That all worked. But then there's the thing, why did he have to get burnt on the back? That made no sense.
Yeah.
To show that you could never come back. I'm like, well, he does, because he's back in New York a few few weeks later or days later, and so it just that annoyed me. It was too much.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think it tripped itself up a bit by pushing some of that stuff so far. Yeah. But having said that, like I say, you got we've mentioned already the first fight, but there are so many amazing set pieces in this film. There is the library, say, death by book.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I think it's like there isn't, I don't think, an actor other than Keanu Reeves that could do this, because you either get people who've got the physicality, but they haven't got. I know not everyone rates Keanu Reeves' acting, but he's not like a B movie star. He is a proper actor.
He's not, and with all respect to him, Mark Dacascos.
No, which is another point to come on to later too. But it is, and yes, occasionally you can go, hang on, that's a stunt double. But a lot of the time, he's throwing people to the ground all the time, and he's got his own kind of fighting style as a character, which is just it's just whatever's the most efficient thing. He'll grab whatever he can find. Admittedly, in this film, does make you think that maybe he is invincible, because I think he needed more medical attention than the amount that he got. But there's the stuff in the antique store. There's the stuff with the stable. I quite like the stuff with the horses. I thought that was quite clever.
Yeah.
You don't want to be kicked in the face by a horse.
At the beginning, when he's excommunicado, and you see the control room of the hotel again, where they put out the kind of messages to everybody, and you've got all these women with lots of tattoos. You see,
Yeah.
So there was a man in there for the first time, the administrator. Okay. And it was an actor who's been very popular in TV the last few years. Did you notice who it was?
No, I didn't.
It's Robin Lord Taylor, or Taylor Lord, who's been in Gotham as the Penguin.
Okay. Gosh, okay.
Yeah, Oswald Cobblepot the Penguin. So he was there, and there again, he had the glasses on, and he had all the tattoos. Yeah. I thought, I know him. I do know him, so I had to look that up. That was one cameo that was hilarious. And then whilst he's running... Do you watch The Good Place?
No, I don't.
Okay. Have you ever seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
I've seen one episode.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, there's the homeless man who stuck his head out and went, "Tick-tock, John Wick!"
Oh, Tick-tock man, yeah.
That's Jason Mazukis, who's in those shows that I mentioned. And he always plays weird,
I thought he was isn't he in the second film as well?
I don't know, but...
I thought he was. I thought, isn't he the person that passes the message on to...
He does work with the Bowery King.
I thought he was involved with that, because he's the one who takes him at the end. Spoiler again. Isn't he him that pushes him in the cart? Yeah.
But so he always plays... Anytime they need someone who's a bit crazy and a bit weird, who's got a big beard and crazy hair, they pull him out, basically. In every single show and film, that's his kind of niche. That's it. There's a lot of good actors in this.
There are. And I think it's that balance as well, because this could just have been 2 hours of wall-to-wall amazing fights, shootouts, horse versus motorbike, ninja fights.
Yep.
And with no... But there's both sides to this film. There's the gravitas of the kind of more actorly scenes, and then the physical stuff as well. And I think the one thing I thought was really... widening the cast a bit, making it a bit more of an ensemble was a positive thing, because the world is that much bigger. And I did like it's been done in lots of things before, but the bounty on his head and everyone after him, I really liked. And literally, a bit like in the second film, I guess, everywhere you turn, someone is to do with this world. Literally, everywhere you turn.
That was a little bit weird, but yeah.
But,
I liked Halle Berry in the role. I kind of wish there was more of her, to be honest, because he gets the ticket out of the city and he goes to Casablanca, where she is running the equivalent of the Continental over there.
It's a chain, basically. It's like an ibis.
Well, the second one, we saw it when he went to, was it Spain or France or Italy? And he saw the equivalent of the Italian version of Winston, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
So she's running the one out in Casablanca, which was great. And the fact that they've got a history and that she owes him a blood debt and all of that. So that all made sense. I mean, that to do with mythology, it worked and it was balanced and it made sense. And her emotional scene was good because she can act very, very well. but I didn't feel like she'd earned it. In terms of, like, we've just introduced to her, and suddenly she's really emotional. I'm supposed to be bonding with her. You only do a little because of the power of the actress who's doing it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
you're
I'd
right.
be there going, well, I don't know her and I don't know her kids, so why am I...
I suppose she's torn between the fact that this is the guy that saved her kid, and she knows she can't really. But again, it's also a bit of a fake out, really, because I think deep down she's quite happy to get her hands dirty again. And it does. I mean, I wasn't sure about Jerome Flynn, to be honest.
So, have you ever... Here's another question. Have you seen any episodes of Game of Thrones?
I have seen all of the episodes of Game of Thrones, and I think he's very good. I think he's very good in Game of Thrones.
This is it. And, when he's got the beard and the dark hair, he's incredible in this.
Yeah. It's one of the best things, isn't it?
He's quite wooden in this.
It was a little bit... I thought it was a bit hammy.
Yeah.
It was a little bit overdone. Maybe it's because he was playing like a different accent and stuff. Maybe he lent it. It felt like... It is a very stylized film anyway. This is not a documentary.
It's Game of Thrones.
Just let everyone know. Just to make that clear. It's not called Chapter 3, The Panorama. But everyone else is kind of heightened but grounded, and he kind of went a little bit... I don't know, it was a bit arch, a bit eyebrow raisy. It was a bit
mustache
and I thought,
like,
because
you're going to give me something. Am I? Yes, I'm going to have your dog. No, you can't have my dog. Ha! I've now shot your dog. Wait,
that is the thing.
What?
The other thing they've done, they've gone in the first film. About his dog. That's cool. It's about his dog. Second film, he's got another dog. This film, he's got a dog. Oh, and actually, she's got 3 dogs.
2.
And you just go. It's a bit like, I know you haven't seen Captain Marvel, but Captain Marvel leans heavily into cats.
Yep.
And it's almost like, people like cats, let's make a cat in it a lot. And I appreciate that's in the comics as well. But here it's almost like, dogs. Dogs have almost become currency in this world.
Yeah.
Which I guess it does kind of tie into the whole loyalty thing, which is a theme. But, I mean, having said that, the scene with the 2 of them and the 3 dogs fighting people. Is it 2 dogs? Yes, it is 2 dogs. Is amazing.
Yes.
And what I love about these films is they don't hide the fact that most people that are fighting are stuntmen, so they just tend to be either wearing motorbike helmets or headdresses so that they can be multiple people by running around.
Oh, yeah.
But it's the fluidity of that whole sequence is stunning.
It's incredible. And the fact that I love when she's fighting. I don't know what language she was speaking, the words she's calling out, but she'll say something and the dog will just go woof, and just pull this guy by his arm and spin him around. And it's like, wow. But the dogs are so well trained that I know, yes, as we said, Pete, it's not a documentary and it's not real. But the fact that you still got 2 strangers running around past highly trained dogs, firing fake guns with blanks, and the dogs never flinch. Like if you make a loud noise by any other normal dog, they'll just get freaked out. Whereas these dogs have obviously learned the routine like everybody else, but they fire a gun after the dog's on them, and the dogs are totally fine. And I just thought, those are really, really well-trained dogs, and it works to show in the film that she knows what she's doing, because the dogs are an active part of her kind of assault.
And I love the fact that, like, John is part of that, but he doesn't know the dogs. He hasn't fought. So it's all beautifully orchestrated because she's as good as he is. That's what I really like about it. He doesn't rely on him, and she's got her own way. She's as capable as he is, and she's got the dogs to back her up as well. I think it's you can see why he chose to go. I know he needed to go there anyway, but you can see why. I think he knew deep down that she was going to end up fighting at his side.
But there's that moment where she shot the dog. And dog's okay, and he looks at her, and she's reaching for the gun, and John's going, no, and he's like, oh no, he knew 5 seconds ahead what she was going to do.
Because essentially because then she's, I guess, excommunicado because she's killed somebody in one of the hotels too.
Well, it wasn't in the hotel, it was in the Mint.
That's true.
But she did. She killed lots of men, but she shot him in the knee, so she didn't kill him.
She did. No, that's true.
So he had it coming though, because he did shoot the dog.
He had it coming up on the roof with Robson Green, to be honest. There's
a music joke there for anybody who don't know. Go and look it up on YouTube. We're not going to explain it to you.
Sorry.
No callbacks here. Jerome Flynn, bless him, bit hammy. Could have been better. Don't know why.
Yeah.
And since you mentioned him earlier, go on, Mark Dacascos.
Okay, yeah. So I like Mark. I like him, and I've always liked him. He's been really good in films over the years, and Brotherhood of the Wolf is a personal favourite of mine, and he was very good in a couple of seasons of Hawaii Five-0. But the biggest, and I quite liked his comedy turn here, which is kind of almost like he's a fanboy of John Wick, as well as a sushi chef.
Yeah.
But my issue with it is you've got the two guys from the raid who are phenomenal at what they do, and quite a bit younger than him. No disrespect, and they're being thrown through glass, they're getting smashed through walls, and they're getting back up, and it's all this. And I mean, a couple of times they could have killed John, but they actually help him back up. It's like an honor thing. But in a computer game kind of scenario, every level should be harder than the one before, and I think through this film that is what the case. It gets harder and harder and harder, and I don't know, it didn't feel enough of a threat, and maybe it's just because it's an actor we know too well, maybe it's just because he's a bit older, but to me, once he'd beaten the two raid guys, it was kind of a foregone conclusion, really, that he was going to take out the final person. That was my biggest thing with it. But I'd say they all kind of, because of the honor system, they all kind of, at times, don't kill each other when they could have done.
I didn't like the fact that he was a fanboy and that he was kind of fanning over him. I didn't like that. And also the fact that, the adjudicator, hate her. I absolutely loathe her.
Yeah,
you're meant to, but equally, she's just useless. Anyway, so when she goes to him and recruits him and his students, and he said, "Oh, you beat my best students, all the rest of it. Now you got to fight me." They were brilliant. Him being hammy and a fan doesn't work for me because he's supposed to be the best of the best. And if he's cold and if he was cool, like all of his students, yet he still had that honor system, that would have worked. Like when he sat down next to John Wick on the sofa and then John moved, I wasn't laughing. I was just like, I don't find that funny, and it just looks weird. And it's like it was an injection of comedy that didn't need to be there. There's other moments that are dark that made me smile and laugh because they're meant to be. But no, I wasn't a fan. He is good, and as you said, you've seen him in most recently Wu Assassins, and he was great in that. But there again, it's the direction. Like, we know Jerome Flynn can do brilliant bits of acting. He's amazing. We know Mark Dacascos is fantastic too. I think the direction was off in this. Well, the script for these guys.
I think it's interesting because a lot of the humour in the first film is the fact that the son has underestimated who John Wick is.
Just like,
that's the bit that I find.
Him, then.
He's like, "You did what to John Wick? I stole his car. You stole John Wick's car. Yes. What else did you do? I killed his dog.
Oh, well.
You killed John Wick's dog." And just that, it's just the fact that we're in on the joke, really, is what makes it funny. I think here, what they probably have tried to do, I don't know, on my guess would be, well, we've got lots of people that aren't going to say very much because they're more about the fighting. So we need to offset it a little bit. And they've kind of, I think, or make him a bit different than the people he fought in the second film. But I think they've probably tried too hard to give his character kind of a quirk. Because it's an old kind of screenwriting thing, isn't it? If you're not sure what to do with someone, like give him a limp or, a scar or something. Yeah. But what they gave him was kind of fanboyism, which would have made more sense if he was a lot younger, but he's kind of...
4 screenwriters, you said, as well, with the original story by a 5th. I think it might be a bit too many cooks at this point.
Yeah, and maybe, I mean, these days I think more people get credited than they used to. So I was reading a thing actually this week about Carrie Fisher and how she was like one of the most successful script doctors of the last sort of 30 years, mainly because of the rewrite she did on set on Star Wars. So she then started basically going, but usually when they bring someone in to punch up a script, as they put it, it's a bit like Shane Black was uncredited on Predator, wasn't he? That's why he was cast, so he could go in there. And it usually is put a few jokes in, like you get a note from an exec saying, "Oh, can we put some funny bits in?" And then maybe that's what's happened. Maybe that's why they feel a little bit out of sync with the rest of the movie. Yeah. Because to me, like, this reminds me of. This is the kind of film I hoped John Woo would make when he started doing Hollywood films. Right. And he never quite did. But those films don't have to have, like... I mean, to be honest, I think Keanu is in many ways the funniest thing in these films because he's so deadpan.
Yeah,
He's so matter of fact, and everything is just normal. And occasionally he says something like he lightens up with certain people, the people he trusts.
Yeah,
he kind of has got a little bit of a smile about him, and though that's enough to give it brevity. It doesn't have to be. And whether they kind of went, all these people are getting killed and killed with a book and kicked in the face by a horse and stabbed. Maybe we need somebody as like comic relief. But, they didn't cast Rob Schneider, so that's okay. But it almost felt a little bit like that. Let's put something in. But at least it was somebody who could do martial arts and could handle themselves. It wasn't they put a completely random actor in that role, I suppose.
Yeah, never mind. As you can see, there's some things in this that I didn't like. I didn't like the fact that the adjudicator came in and basically said, "Oh, you gave him an hour, so you're out." And then to Lawrence Fishburne's character, the Bowery King, you gave him 7 bullets, you get 7 cuts, and all this kind of stuff. It's like, but I did like the fact that he basically told her to fuck off, because he basically said, I am the Bowery. There isn't anybody else. It's me. Yeah. It's not the king has fallen. It's me. You can't get rid of me.
Yeah.
But he gets his revenge, basically, in the end, because he's still there, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah. I did like that a lot.
He's there with the stick, and he's got, like, the tape on his face from being cut up. But he's still there. And he goes, are you angry? Yeah, I'm angry. I was like, yeah, because he's pissed, too. So.
The interesting thing is, I guess, I found her character a lot more annoying the second time watching it, because I guess I knew it's just that annoying. She's a bit, maybe it's deliberate. She's a bit like that, just like that, like an accounts department or something, some part of a job that you just like, oh, for God's sake, just lighten up and let me just get on with what I've got to do, or health and safety. Do you know what I mean?
It's like a very high opinion of herself. The fact that when she's talking to Winston and Winston hangs up, she looks horrified. I'm like, yeah, he runs the Continental. You're admin. That's basically what you're there for.
And she basically just does what she's told all the way through, because that is her. She's just the representative of...
She has no agency of her own.
No.
She's just a mouthpiece. I'm like, and then people are treating you with disdain. I wonder why. Because you have no power of your own. You're just talking to someone else.
Going back to the... just forgotten to mention before, the bit in the desert.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I don't know. I hated beyond... Just beyond the whole, well, how will I find him? Just walk into the desert until you can walk no more and you'll be in the right place.
Yeah, that was nonsense.
That's not scientific. That's not even using geography. That's just bollocks. Really.
Yep.
It's like, and I thought maybe that was a clever thing. It was going to mean something, but it just literally meant that I don't know. That just was.
It was getting slightly supernatural. And
it's like, is it all about magic now? Before. Yeah, no, it did. It pushed the realms of
a genre. Because as crazy as this film is, and as not grounded as it is, there's a vague sense of realism in that there's no science fiction elements and there's no supernatural. There's the possibility that people think John Wick is supernatural just because he's so good, but it doesn't exist. This made it was like, ooh, that means you'll find you. It's like, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. You've pushed... And also the fact, why did he have to take off his own finger?
I don't know.
That's just going to be it was a pain in the arse the rest of the film for CGI, and there's going to be moments where they haven't done it, and you can see all of Keanu's fingers, obviously. So, and then he took the wedding ring. I didn't like any of that bit. That just made it... If he's going to let him get away with it anyway, just let him do it. And
I think the more they pushed things like his background and the crazy desert walk stuff, the less I believed the first film. Does that make sense? I didn't believe... Because up to now, I was like, this guy was in this world, amazing assassin in a world of assassins, best there has ever been, the bogeyman. But he met this woman, he settled down, and he was happy to step away from this life, and he could live a normal life. Yeah. And then, but now it's like, well, this is so outside of normality. I just don't. It's almost unpicked the first film a little bit for me.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, which is frustrating, because I know it's how it happens. You make a first film on a smaller budget, everyone likes it, you up the ante, and I get that. And I think, forgetting these few qualms, I mean, this is a brilliantly made film. I mean, in terms of ingenuity of the fight choreography, this is amazing stylized kind of cinematography, this kind of blue and yellow hue. So it's like, we both love kind of 80s action movies, but they quite often looked cheap, even if they weren't. This is it's almost like an art house action movie. It looks stunning. But it's almost like there's about 20% of the script that just kind of trips itself up, I think. And I would jump in all over the place. But my other big problem was the fact that it was how it ended, really, because I know, like, the week it came out, they announced the fourth one was going to be made. And I guess it was kind of obvious there was going to be a fourth one. But I kind of miss trilogies. I kind of miss... I don't really miss standalone films, but rather than like this I don't imagine it becoming like the Fast and the Furious and getting to like double figures, and like John Wick 10 when he's got a walking stick and it's like, God, you were angry last time, God, you are so angry now, with your guide dog. It's like, I don't know, it's it just, I've gone to see a film that carries on from the second one, and at the end it felt like it was just all it was doing was setting up a fourth movie, which is a little bit frustrating.
I know. Obviously, when they made that first film, they didn't know what was going to happen, and it's relatively self-contained. The first one, it's like the Matrix thing. They did the first Matrix film, and they did no more after that. And
maybe that's part of their homage.
Yeah, maybe. And then they did the second one, as you say, and they started to build on it then. I wished when they'd done the second one and they knew that it was going well, that they'd then thought, how could we wrap this up in 2, 3, 4 films, and they planned it. I don't think for a second they've done that. I know they've done it in the case of, we had it on a cliffhanger, and we put all our eggs in one basket, and we hope that it comes off, and if it does, great. We have to find a way to solve that and up the ante again. That's kind of diminishing return, because they've just added too many layers of butter already in this film, as we talked about. They've just added too much. So what's the next layer? Do they then say, before he was one of the Roma, he's actually someone else, and he got brain transferred from...
And who's above the guy who's above the high table?
Yeah. And
who are the assassins that are even better than the ones they sent after him, even though he was the most wanted man on the planet?
If they say... Chad Stahelski said, have you watched the last 3 films? This isn't going to end well. My gut and my hope is that the fourth one is the last one, and basically he goes after all of the individual members of the high table who we get to see, and takes them all out. But there isn't an happy ending. Even if he wins, they'll end up killing him, and that's how the film ends. There's no high table, or someone else takes over the high table. So I'm hoping that the fourth one is the last one, and that's what they're planning to do. There's already talk of a spin-off, by the way.
Oh, the content is that the TV series?
Nope, another spin-off.
Oh, so there's another spin-off from a spin-off.
There's the TV series, which is going to be called Continental. It's going to feature characters in the Continentals around the world. Not sure how. There's also now a potential talk of something to do with a tattooed ballerina.
Oh,
as a female spin-off John Wick type thing. So you've got a female gun-toting somebody. Maybe they give up their life to become a ballerina, and she's not very good at it, as she kept falling over. Anyway,
give Halle Berry a series.
Exactly. Let her run her hotel.
Yeah.
And get into trouble from time to time. Job done.
Dog food.
8 episodes, 10 episodes a season.
Yeah, I'll be into that.
Do it. Occasionally meet up with the Bowery King, get some help from him, and TikTok, the crazy man. I don't know. Anyway, we talked a lot about other stuff, so let's talk about some of the positive. What were some of your favourite moments? I
think the set pieces were... I look back on it now and just think, I still like, how did you do that? So I think the antique store, again, I was convinced it was a museum at the time, but the antique store fight where they're just grabbing things out of the drawers and just like chucking them at each other, and the fact he's managing to hit them from such a distance. But again, it's that mutual respect between each other. They are clubbering the hell out of each other. And again, it's a Hollywood actor going up against like some serious martial artists, which... Yeah, it's amazing. The horse stable, which we talked about, I think was clever. It was nearly overdone, but not quite. Getting the horse to kind of give him a kick in the head.
Yeah.
I thought was clever, and then him riding off. Although I'm pretty sure the city will be on lockdown at the point where you're riding a horse, under the through the tunnels with motorbikes either side of you, and with ninja swords. But again, it's still not a documentary. The bit with the dogs, which you've already talked about, it was really the set piece. The I guess like the other two films, the physical set pieces were the bits that really worked the best. I thought it was kind of a lot of close fighting early on. Then the dog bit made it more about shooting and fighting, and then I guess at the end it was more of the gunfight, the big assault on the Continental, which I thought was good. Kind of up in the ante, and the Continental was interesting.
I like the fact that when she called for the backup and they all came, they all had the kind of not only bulletproof armor on their bodies, but it's like any superhero film. I always say, is their face armored? Shoot them in the face. These actually had full helmets on, so you couldn't see them, and they were
because it's the same guy. It's the same guys on the motorbikes and the same guys fighting in the desert. That's why.
Yeah, that is true. However, it also meant that it made it a lot more difficult because suddenly all of the hotel security guys are firing their guns. No effect.
Yeah.
John's firing his, and it takes him a lot longer to kill one. So, like the fact he comes back and him and Lance Reddick are both like armor piercing shotgun. I love the way, even the moments, like the way he reloads the shotgun was brilliant. And you know how in some films, when they... so, as crazy as this film is, who said, and as unrealistic as this film is, there's also some really good realism stuff. So, when he was gearing up, he put on a special ammo belt, and you watch him count the 7 or 8 or 10, however many clips it is he puts in the belt. And you know that there's, 12 in a clip, and he's got 10 clips, and he's got the one that's in the gun already. And I'm sure if someone went through it and counted them, there'd be a reasonable ammo count. And it's the same as when he gets the shotgun. He puts on a special shotgun belt, and he's seeing them pull them off and load them. And that's like, I like the fact that he doesn't just fire 47 times with one gun and then go, oh, better reload, because you haven't seen him reload for a while.
Yeah.
Which sometimes you just kind of go, yeah, okay, it's not documentary, as Pete says. But you want a little bit of realism in this, and that I appreciated that in all of it.
I completely and utterly buy that he is a very, very, very capable man.
Yes.
And surrounded by other capable men and women, but that he's just like he's just honed to do this.
10% better.
His instincts are always correct, even if he's on the floor bleeding.
Yeah. So I like
the bit.
Go on.
So I was saying about the bit with the doctor. Actually, I quite liked him having to shoot him twice to make it believable. That was again, that's natural humour. That isn't forced.
That was funny. That made me laugh.
Yeah.
Just go, shoot me again. About here. Oh, okay, that'll do, Peg. Oh, that was good. I'm trying to think of my other favourite fight scenes. Let's see. There's the bit when he's on the motorbike. So he's on a horse, and they all got swords, and then kind of kills a bunch of them. No, then he's on a motorbike, doesn't he? And he turns around as well, and goes back the other way, and proper messes some people up.
Yeah.
Oh, really bad. Really bad. And he leans around the horse and shoots one guy.
And it is that thing, like every single fight is harder than the one before, and the one before was one of the toughest things you've seen on camera. Mm-hmm. It's like it's almost like every fight is equivalent of what would have been an end fight in an 80s film. Yeah. But they're in a row. It's I think he'd want to lie down at the end rather than jump straight into the fourth film. Well, literally, he fell off a building. That must have hurt.
Yeah, he is slightly superhuman. But as you said earlier, I like the fight with the two guys from the raid who are the kind of students of Mark Dacascos' character, because there's that moment where he kind of holds up his hand and they kind of stop and he goes, hang on. I think he takes his jacket off or something, and he just kind of like has a moment and then goes, okay, yep, and then they come at him again. Or he gives them a moment at one point. And he takes off his belt. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Because they both got knives and he's got nothing. And he goes, hang on. Takes off his belt. Okay, ready. And then they start again. But I like the fact that they stay down. Like, he's beaten them and they're on the floor. They've got a knife and he's got a gun. If he wants to, he could kill them. And one guy kind of looks at the others, and they both just lie down again. It's like, yeah, we could keep doing this, but we're going to lose. So let's just say he's beat us properly, and we'll stay here, and we get to live another day.
Yeah.
And he knows that they're not going to get up and shoot him in the back. You know, and he's not going to turn around and shoot them. So I like that kind of honesty.
Yeah. Yeah, it does make sense.
Mm. Any other bits that stand out for you?
I think that's probably it. I mean, I suppose we've talked about the main set pieces, haven't we, really? Yeah, I mean, what did you think of did you think with Winston that he was kind of engineering everything to his own ends, or was he engineering everything to save John, or both?
Both. I think he wanted to save his own skin.
Yeah.
But also, he knew that when he shot John and he fell off the building,
he'd be all right.
Yeah, because when the adjudicator goes, he's gone, and he goes, well, you know, he was a nice guy. And I was laughing, because you know that he's fucking with him. You know he is. And
I think as well,
the body is gone, and he goes, oh, well, fancy that. So it's like, yeah.
She kept giving him the ultimatum of, like, you know, do you do what's right for you, or are you going to let this man, you know, you need to, because they're both supposed to kill each other, aren't they? And they do the same thing. It's like John Wick is given the option of, you know, kill him and everything's sorted, and he doesn't do it. And you just think, and then you suddenly go, oh, is it a double cross, or is it just they're both? Because he's always like, I think had it been a proper full on double cross, I would have been, again, you kind of think what he did for him in the first film and stuff.
Yeah.
But here it just feels like they're in this system, which is why I quite like, I quite like your idea of like where it goes next. I like the idea of Clint Eastwood sitting at the high table.
One of the high tables.
Yeah. That's some old kind of, I don't think it'll happen, but kind of some Grand Farm figure.
Get at some really interesting, really different looking characters to fill out the high table. I mean, they've done it so far in this film and in the rest of the franchise. They're going to pull out some really, like, you know, in Marvel Comics, where suddenly you realise there's other immortal weapons, and you meet these 6 other people, and they're all radically different. That's what they're going to have to do for the high table characters, I think. Otherwise, it just wouldn't. If they're all the same, it'd be like, I don't get it. It doesn't work. So.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If they're all supposed to be larger than life and super assassins, you know, it's not going to end well. Either he kills them all and then he dies, or he kills a bunch of them and he takes his place on the high table, and then he's deciding the fates of others, which isn't good either way.
No.
But it's not gonna end well. Is all it's.
No, I don't see it being. I don't see him settling down with another dog and a new lady.
That's it. He won't. That's not the end of the franchise or the end of the 4th film. It can't end like that. And the creators basically said, you're not paying attention if that's what you think is going to happen. You know, this isn't a Disney film. Right. Are we ready to give it some scores?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Shall I go first?
Yes, because I've...
Okay.
Go on.
Right, so we've been a bit negative, actually. I guess it's an interesting one. I'm quite torn on this film because it is like Hard Boiled and Raid Redemption combined, but in a mainstream Hollywood film. It's got amazing cinematography and a beautiful shot composition, and at the same time, the martial arts and the gunplay is, I almost say, perfect in terms of how it's done. And as someone who's watched action films their whole life, this is like, there's a high bar that they already set themselves, and I think they've taken it even further. I think I gave the first 2 films 5 bags each, which is challenging. The story was a little bit hit and miss, and that we've kind of talked about, and it's like, is it style over substance on that basis? I think the second time watching it, I was a bit more, I noticed some of the flaws in the story, or the bits that irritated me, because the first time I was in the cinema, literally my jaw open. I couldn't quite believe, it was so relentless, I couldn't quite believe what I was seeing. So I don't know, because there's a part of me that thinks I should downgrade it to a 4 because of the issues with the story, because it isn't perfect, and 5 should be perfect. There's part of me that thinks it should be a 5 just because if you're comparing it to other films rather than to its own franchise, it's head and shoulders above other modern action movies. And we can't do half bags. and I can't put margarine on the bag, so I'm going to very reluctantly say 4 bags and then hate myself for a few days.
Fair enough. So, this film is amazing to watch. I know we focused on the negative, but it's kind of hard to talk about the positives too much without kind of going beat by beat over all the fight scenes and stuff, and we don't really do that kind of thing anymore. There's just more to talk about in the negatives, I guess, things that we didn't like, things we could actually spend time focusing on. So it may seem like we've come across very negative, but this film is visually spectacular. The fight scenes are incredible. The gunplay or gun fu is amazing. There's a fantastic cast of characters apart from a couple of hammy things, but that's not the actors' faults. I think that's the script and possibly the direction. Some of the attempts, as you said, maybe to punch it up with humour where it didn't need it because there was dark humour or other moments that were humorous that perhaps they didn't expect them to be. When you watch them, the audience would have laughed and it probably have even surprised the creators. In some ways, I wish it was the third and final one because it would have wrapped things up nicely. I hope it doesn't go the way of Fast and Furious 47, Please Kill Me, as it's going to get to, and Vin Diesel will be bald for real as opposed to shaving his head. So some bits were annoying, some bits didn't work, some bits were hammy. Compared to the first two, despite all of the good things, it isn't as good because it's not as consistent in terms of story, character, or structure. And I actually can't believe I'm going to say this. I got bored in a couple of the fight scenes because they went on slightly too long. I was like,
we've all got that problem.
Going on and on. Won't shut up. So, it's not as good as the first two overall. In terms of an action film compared to 90% of the other films, it's a mile better. But just on the scale of 5 is perfect.
I'm saying this, and I'm going like I'm like so offended by you. But I also have given it a lower score than the first two films, so I can't say I've given it a lower score. But it's not. You can't say it's worse because I think purely. I don't know. You can't say a film is good if the story's got problems. I guess can you? We can't say it's that good, but it's just from a visual perspective. I don't think there's been a film quite like it, even the first two.
No.
But yeah, from the story side, it just kind of like just rein it back a little bit. Let's just keep it a little bit more grounded.
Pull back the mythology slightly. I hope they do it for the fourth one, but I don't know. I think it's all gonna. Hopefully, the fourth one will focus not on him and it'll focus on the high table more. So because of all of that, I'm actually also going to give it 4 because it's very, very good, but it's not as good as the others. I think the first one is still my favourite because it's very, very pure. It's a very, very simple premise, and it's a revenge film. And it's just
it's very unexpected.
Yeah.
It came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And yes, the fact it was Keanu Reeves carried it in many ways, but it was just this special little thing that we hadn't seen before. But yeah, I mean, if they can keep the action at this level for a fourth one and find a really clever way to kind of bring it together story wise, then there's another bag to be had.
We'll see in 2021 it'll be out.
Believe so. Yeah, just look after ourselves between now and then. Don't go to any libraries, any antique shops, or any horse stables, or flash hotels. It's not the places you expect. It never is.
No, you have to come up with some new places like fight on a boat. Maybe they'll fight on a bus as a nod to Speed.
Let's see. Let's not make an.
Submarine, nod to Under Siege. Maybe very tall building. Die Hard. I don't know. They'll come up with something. I'm sure.
Maybe.
So, have you seen...
the antique shop should have been called Lovejoy's.
Oh,
that was a missed opportunity.
We're also not going to explain that. Go and look it up yourself.
No, yeah.
Google it.
Young folk.
My name isn't Google. Go and work it out for yourself. So, that was our review of John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. Have you seen John Wick Chapter 3? If so, what did you think? Get in touch with us and let us know. Come on to the Facebook group and join us there. You can email us, bagsofaction@gmail.com. Are you laughing because I said face group?
It was just there was a strange pause and just it kind of all went a bit odd. I'm sorry. Come and join us in the Facebook party. Come on in.
There's no party. There's just
we are waiting with lashings of margarine.
Just people talking quietly in a corner about action films.
Yeah.
Don't forget, we post all of our films on YouTube channel, so you can leave a comment below and subscribe to that channel there for weekly episodes and 5-minute reviews as well.
Hit the bell, you'll get notifications every time we bring out a new episode.
Which is every week, you lucky people.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, wrap us
up. Thank you for listening, if indeed you still are. Parabellum.
Good night.